Hey, what's up everyone? Tim here. And before we get into today's video, there's a few things I'd like to go over. First, we have a merch store. Some of the items in it are only available for a limited amount of time. So, if you're interested, go into the description and check it out. Each purchase helps us make more content. Secondly, if this video hits 1,000 likes by the end of the week, we will continue this What If. Third, if you didn't know, only 41.3% of you are subscribed to us. So please, hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into the story. The leader of the operation to attack the USJ was on the floor. Rage filled his eyes as he stared at the young woman who had knocked him down. She looked down on the villain with disdain and an overprotective rage. Her skin melted away from her disguise, shifting back into her flesh and blood before revealing her true self. Her bright golden eyes pulsated with furious anger, while Midoriya and Asui paid attention to the scene. Nomu, attack! A large, deformed beast of villainy sped into action and reached out its hand towards the woman towering over its master. She witnessed this grotesque demon and fell to her side to dodge such an attack. Her arm was caught by the monster, who flung her towards a boulder. She braced for impact, but Midoriya caught her midair as the two hit the rock together. Nomu picked up Shigaraki, who scratched his neck and cheek, almost making himself bleed with each scrape. His screams hollered throughout the facility. What the heck is that thing? I don't know, but it looks strong. Asui went to go find help, so we're the only ones here. It's Sue. Toga grinned as she told her companion. He laughed nervously and agreed that he needed to remember that. The two ran over to Aizawa, who was badly beaten and unconscious. They needed to protect him until help arrived. Nomu ran over and went to punch Midoriya, who punched Nomu's fist with his smash. But something happened. Midoriya's arm didn't break. Himiko noticed this. As she was distracted, Tomura raced over quickly and reached out his hand towards her, but she managed to avoid it. Unfortunately, Shigaraki reached over with his other hand. Himiko managed to grab his arm, but he was relentless in his effort to kill her. All while this was going on, back to Midoriya and Nomu, Nomu had managed to grab Midoriya's arm and broke it. A loud crash was heard in the distance. The pro hero All Might entered, but he was not smiling. He looked determined, yet filled with anger. Everyone stopped their attacks and craned their heads over to him. "Have no fear, students, for I am here," he said in a serious yet powerful booming voice. He threw away his jacket and untied his tie. "Couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong when 13 wouldn't answer my calls. So I hurried over, running into young Ida along the way, who told me of the villainy that was going on here." The students were overjoyed to see the number one hero here to protect them. Izuku was on the floor after Nomu had let him go. He watched as All Might ran towards Nomu. All Might took out any villain in his way and carried Aizawa, all in the blink of an eye. Almost in a second's notice, the pro hero then grabbed Himiko and Midoriya and placed them down near Aizawa. Toga was astonished at the feat of incredible speed. She looked over to Midoriya and held his arm in worry. Shigaraki walked over to the hand that was on the floor and placed it back on his face like a mask. He stood there in disbelief at what had transpired. He was sure that things were going well, but maybe it still could. He did have the Nomu. All Might, that bird villain took one for... He looked over to Himiko before letting out his secret. That thing took one for all, and Izuku didn't break his arm, she interrupted him. He was in shock at what he had heard, but it was not the time to overreact. "Young Midoriya, young Toga, I got this," he said confidently. The two nodded their heads and grabbed Aizawa to get him away from the battle. Sounds reminiscent of thunder could be heard as they were walking away with Aizawa in their arms. "How did you know about One for All?" "Darling, you suck at keeping secrets. You told Bakugo and I overheard it," she said casually as she smiled. "Oh, man. You're not gonna tell anyone, right?" he asked politely. "Izuku, I like you enough to not betray you." Her face blushed immediately after saying such a thing. Midoriya looked back at the ensuing battle in worry. He watched as All Might had the Nomu in a suplex. But something was off. The Nomu was piercing the side of All Might's injury. Himiko and Izuku saw that he was in danger, and one of them had to do something, until they heard Sue in front of them. "I warned the others of what's happening. Most of them are together, but I can't find Bakugo, Kirishima, or Todoroki. Ribbit. The two sighed in relief. I think they'll be fine, especially the idiot with grenades for hands. Midoriya looked at her and then looked around hoping Bakugo was not around to hear that. Sue, you and Midoriya take Mr. Aizawa to the others safely. I can go and help All Might out somehow. No, you're not going. I'm strong enough to help him. I can just take him while you two can figure it out, Ribbit. Sue grabbed the raven-haired instructor and hopped away. The two of them watched as she took him away. They looked to each other for a plan. It looks like it takes orders. We have a third channel called We the Celestials Naruto What If. We the Celestials Naruto What If mainly focuses on our Naruto What If series. If you are interested in content like that, please go check the description below or click the icon in the top right corner. Now with that out of the way, let's get back into the story. Bakugo grabbed the cylinder casing inside Kurogiri and slammed him to the ground. Himiko skidded on the floor with Midoriya on top of her in an unsavory position. Ice covered the ground before reaching Nomu, encasing all but the arm holding All Might in ice. One of your poorly trained thugs told me you're here because you wanted to kill All Might. All Might loosened the Nomu's grip and jumped out of his hold. He stepped back while Kirishima jumped in to punch Shigaraki, who left his position and dodged. The red-haired boy slammed his armored fist into the ground. Damn it! That was gonna be cool! Guess I caught your body that time, you smoky bastard! The symbol of peace will not be defeated by delinquents like you. Himiko and Midoriya's eyes lit up to see some of the strongest classmates here working together side by side. Jeez, Bakugo, took you long enough. I almost thought you weren't brave enough to come and fight. What was that, you freak? She giggled at poking his buttons. But something about this was different. Almost as if it were not insulting, but just friendly banter. She lowered her head and smiled warmly. Kurogiri, how could you let this brat get the best of you? You've gotten us in a real jam here. Heh, you got careless, you dumb villain. He kneeled over the casing of Kurogiri's metal alloy. It wasn't hard to figure you out. Only parts of you turned into that smoky warp gate. You thought you were safe from me, but this thing attached to your body... Kurogiri tried to struggle, but Bakugo used tiny explosions to warn him of his demise. Don't move. You try anything funny, and I'll blow your ass up. Got it? They'll be cleaning you up for weeks. Ooh, that doesn't sound very heroic. They escaped uninjured and captured two of my strongest men. Kids these days are really amazing. They make the League of Villains look like amateurs. Toga walked behind a rock and spared herself a moment of silence by sneaking behind Shigaraki. She used her needle glove to puncture his back for a quick sip of blood. She managed to evade his attack and leave his area of touch. I think I got enough. The Nomu was being sucked in by the portal, but removed itself from the grasp of the black cloud. It broke the ice covering the right side of its body. Soon, the Nomu's limbs regrew. In awe and horror, the students and All Might's minds raced to the next possible course of action. We need to free our method of escape. Get Nomu. Shigaraki pointed to Kurogiri and Bakugo and ordered Nomu to get his comrade back. The Nomu raced at sonic speed to attack Bakugo, but the resulting punch was massive. There was only smoke left. Bakugo! In a sharp instant, Himiko thought something had happened to Bakugo. How the hell did I get over here? Whoa, you dodged it! Kirishima added. No, I didn't, idiot! Bakugo looked over to where he was and back to Toga on her knees, almost mourning him. He furrowed his eyebrows, then looked away. She got back up and looked over to All Might, releasing gas from his body. He was starting to turn back to his weaker state. All Might blocked Nomu's punch and saved Bakugo at the same time. These are kids, and you didn't hold back? I didn't have much choice. He was threatening my companion. Besides, these kids are not angels. The girl, she tried to kill me while wearing the face of a henchman, then took some of my blood. If a hero does something like that, you think you can get away by being as violent as you want. You say it's for the sake of others. She lowered her head in shame as she heard him call out her actions. Well, you know what, All Might? That pisses me off. You sound like a lunatic. Criminals like you always try to make your actions sound noble. But admit it, you do it because you like it. Shigaraki smiled under his glove. The students stood there before Himiko stepped forward. I can stop this. I can just turn into him and call the Nomu thing off. Yeah, besides, we can take them on with All Might's help. Let's do this! Don't attack! Get out of here! The muscle-bound pro hero refused help from his students. He needed to take matters into his own hands and protect his students. You would have been in trouble earlier if it weren't for me, remember? You need our help. Thank you for your assistance, but this is different. It's gonna be alright. Just sit back and watch a pro at work. You need help. I can... Just as Toga was about to interfere and help him, All Might put his hand out in a stop motion. She knew he wanted to stop her, but she couldn't just leave him to fight that thing. He couldn't win. All Might gave Toga a thumbs up. Trust you can make the smart decision. She stepped back, confused, but smiled. The Nomu approached All Might with incredible speed, and All Might followed up running at high speed, clashing fists with the creature just as Midoriya did earlier. The two titans exchanged blows back and forth at faster and faster speeds. Himiko could barely stand with all the wind pressure being blown from the scuffle. She fell back as the wind knocked her down, but Bakugo caught her. Get back up, idiot! Don't tell me you can't handle a bit of wind! She rolled her eyes, but picked herself up with the help of Class 1A's demon. She planted her feet on the ground and watched the fight. She saw how All Might took each blow, but gained enough of his power to counter and beat his opponent 10 times worse. She was paralyzed with amazement. This could be Midoriya one day, she thought to herself, as she was watching All Might use all his energy to defeat the Nomu. You may have heard these words before, but I'll teach you what they really mean. He punched the Nomu in the gut, making it fly off into the air. Toga glanced over to Midoriya and Bakugo, who cheered on All Might like the fanboys that they were. The building was shaking. The ground was trembling because of the impact of the blow. That's like a finishing move in a video game. He beat the shock absorption right out of him. I've never seen that kind of brute strength before. Imagine having power like that! That's All Might for ya! Everyone commented on All Might's ability as a pro hero. He, however, was at his limit. Surrender now and come quietly. This is your last chance. All Might ordered the villains, but Shigaraki could not stand his plan failing. No, you're not weaker at all. Look at what you did to my Nomu. Damn it. Don't tell me I was lied to. Shigaraki was frightened. The number one hero stood tall, but really, his body couldn't handle it anymore. Except the dark-clouded quirk user encouraged the villain. Tomura Shigaraki, please do not fret. Look at him. He is weakened. Nomu's attacks were successful. He's on his own. The children seem to be frozen in fear. And look, our underlings are recovering. You're right. This is it. We have no choice. We must do it now. The final boss is right here. He began to run towards All Might, while the number one hero was stuck in place. In an instant, Deku flew into the air by smashing his legs to reach All Might's location and protect him. Himiko knew what he was doing. He was trying to buy time. She ran behind him and improvised along the way. Unfortunately, a portal rose in front of them as Shigaraki's hand popped out to disintegrate him. A shotgun was heard, and the resulting bullet pierced the villain's hand. The pro heroes were here, and they saved the day. Himiko ran to Deku to comfort him while he was on the floor with his legs and arm broken. As everyone was distracted and the two villains made their escape, All Might's form was breaking down and turning back into his original self. He looked deformed. And Toga remembered what he said earlier about making the smart decision. She ran to All Might quickly while everyone was distracted on what was going on. All Might, give me your blood. And that's it for today's video, so thank you all for watching! Now, there's a few more things I want to go over before we're done here. On behalf of We the Celestials, I want to thank the writer of this video as well as the editors of this video. Their details will be in the description below. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or you're interested in becoming one of those, go to the Discord that is in the description of this video and hit up the head of one of those departments. We're always looking for members to join us. So that's it from us for today's video. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested. and hit that like button if you like this video. Until next time, peace out everyone, have an amazing day.